Good morning. A little more spirit. We have a lot of spirits here. Speak up for them too. Good morning. And welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ventura. I am the Reverend Dana Worsnop, minister of this community of memory. Joyfulness often. And whether you are brand new among us, or you are an old UU hand, and whether you strolled, rolled, zoomed, ran, danced in this morning, all are welcome here. We are a community of many beliefs, identities, origins, sexualities, and genders, and you are all. Those who came before and those who are yet to come, and those of you here, all welcome here this morning. We preface our services by acknowledging that this building, our building now, rests on the unceded ancestral homelands of the Chumash peoples. And so let us pause and remember them this day. Remembering that we live on ground that is sacred, ground that cries out for justice and for responsible stewardship. And in this remembering, may we find the courage to do our part to restore wholeness to the earth and to all her peoples. I have several brief announcements this morning. First, our amazing auction raised more than $24,000, which is a record. And now what we need is everyone to settle up your auction accounts. I did. So I can be used as a positive model here. Also, this next Tuesday, the 5th Tuesday men's group will gather. That's October 29th. Potluck will begin at 6, and then a circle will be from 7 to 9, and it's open to all men in the congregation and beyond. So invite a friend, a co-worker, or a neighbor if you are so inclined. A couple of save the dates items. Our annual Arts and Crafts Fair will be after church on Sunday, November 13th. Wow, 17th. Okay, the 17th. What the heck? Okay, and our annual Interfaith Thanksgiving service will be on Sunday, November 24th at 3 p.m., again at the Mission San Buenaventura. And look for more information coming soon. Also today, you may check out a new exhibit in our, skip that. Next week there will be a new exhibit in the Green Room Art Gallery. And then finally, we will be voting on our recipients for our offering for the next 4 months after church today. And so go out into Berg Hall, and on your way, look for ballots, and they're all, or ask people how to do that. Lively, lively community. When we remember someone we have lost, their spirit joins us again for a time. And so let us now gather so many spirits this day as we enter sacred space.
I am Worship Associate Sue Brinkmeyer, and we invite those of you joining us from home to light a chalice or a candle as Reverend Dana lights the chalice of our free faith here in the sanctuary. Our call to worship today begins with these words from Reverend Kenneth Collier. I do not know where we go when we die, and I do not know what the soul is, or what death is, or when, or why. What I know is that the song once sung cannot be unsung, and the life once lived cannot be unlived, and the love once loved cannot be unloved. Come, let us worship together.
I'm Carolyn Bjerke, and I would like to invite you all to join in singing Spirit of Life. We're going to sing it first in Spanish, then in English, and Spanish again. And during this time, if you hadn't had a chance to bring a picture up to the altar, this would be a good time to do it. Please rise and bow to your spirit.
So I am finding that I'm actually able to remember the lyrics in Spanish in my head. So even when the one screen didn't quite arrive on time, I already knew the words. which feels really lovely to be getting it all inside and pronouncing things well. And I also want to, before we go into my introductory opening words here, to thank the team. It was Ray Vargas, Silvia Hutchins, Jeanette Daniel Whitney, and myself yesterday afternoon. And lots of people brought all kinds of offerings to do this. We've got pan de muerto and skulls and my Katrina, who I adore, and many, many more things. So thank you all for creating this altar. It's all of ours. And I find that I have come to love this Mexican tradition of Dia de los... My tongue is just tripping over all kinds of words this morning. Dia de los Muertos, our Day of the Dead ceremony, especially since I arrived in Southern California 8 or 9 years ago, where this ceremony is a tradition that is woven into the Mexican, the American, and the Mexican-American history and culture here among us. It arose originally what is now southern Mexico as a blending of indigenous and Catholic traditions over the centuries after Spanish colonization. And yet every culture and every religion has beliefs and rituals to remember loved ones who have died. Every family and each one of us holds griefs and memories in particular ways. Today, as we celebrate the traditions of Dia de los Muertos, we will also hear from 2 in our congregation who carry traditions from their own heritage and families. And listen, if you will, for the similarities as well as how they are particular to these people and other cultures. The Day of the Dead offers a rich combination of somber remembrances and fond celebration of the ancestors. And in a few moments, Silvia Hutchins and Director of Family Ministry, Lily Rappaport, will share a story of Dia de los Muertos in Spanish and English, and in it you will hear more explanation of the things that we have on our ofrenda before us. Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, is a way to acknowledge death and also celebrates life. It's an annual celebration that can also serve as a marker for your grief over time. So we too use this time each year as a day of remembrance of those that we have lost and to reflect upon our lives in that context. So may our service today be tender and sweet, sorrowful and celebratory. And now, our story.
So I'm going to invite all those young and young at heart to come up, join us in front. And I'm also, Silvia, if you would come join me. Today's story is bilingual. Okay, I was going to, do any of the children know what that means? Come on, Diego, let's go. Welcome.
Sit over here. Yeah.
So the author-illustrator was born in Mexico City where she studied graphic design and visual arts. Thank you. And she likes to include her Hispanic heritage in her books. So today's story is called Katrina's Day of the Dead by Adriana Morales Marin.
El Día de Muertos de Katrina, por Adriana Morales Marin.
Hello, I am Katrina, and this is my friend Misophius. We are on our way to the Day of the Dead celebration.
Hola, yo soy Katrina y este es mi amigo Misifus. Vamos en camino a la celebración del Día de los Muertos.
Every November 1st and 2nd, people in Mexico get ready to welcome the souls of their loved ones that have passed away.
Cada 1 y 2 de noviembre, la gente en México se prepara para recibir las almas de sus seres queridos que han fallecido.
At the cemetery, there is a big party. The tombs are cleaned and decorated with flowers and candles, and they are the center of attention. Their family and friends sing, eat, and laugh, sharing with the souls of the dead.
En el cementerio hay una gran fiesta. Las tumbas limpias y decoradas con flores y velas son el centro de atención. Allí familiares y amigos cantan, comen y ríen, compartiendo con las almas de los muertos.
Friends exchange sweet sugar skulls with happy flower designs and their names written in shiny colored paper.
Los amigos intercambian dulces calaveras de azúcar con alegres diseños de flores y con su nombre escrito en brillantes papeles de colores.
The children go out wearing costumes, asking for their cavalerta, gladly getting candy, money, and surprises.
Los niños salen disfrazados pidiendo que su calaverita reciben encantados dulces y dinero y sorpresitas.
Big and small, they all go into the street stalls to buy toys, decorations, and candy galore.
Chicos y grandes van todos a los puestos a comprar juguetes, decoraciones y dulces de a montón.
The deceased relatives are the guests of honor. Their favorite food is prepared, mole, tamales, and other dishes. Meanwhile, the kids enjoy their Day of the Dead bread dipped in hot chocolate.
Los parientes fallecidos son los invitados de honor. Se prepara su comida favorita, mole, tamales y otros platillos, mientras los niños saborean su pan de muertos sopeado en chocolate caliente.
The guests of honor come back home to experience once again the delights they enjoyed in life offered by their loved ones with so much joy.
Los invitados de honor regresan a casa para disfrutar una vez más las delicias que los hacen felices en la vida, ofrecido por sus seres queridos con gran amor.
So I'm going to say it's the end of the story, but we do have all our guests here. May we welcome them with joy and feel their presence. And so today, what a wonderful spirit that is, right? The room is so full. I'm going to ask those in the middle aisle to stand up as you are able so that we can form a bridge of love and send all the spirit of the young at heart and the forever at heart to their classes.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you
Sunday, this congregation gives away our entire collection to an organization in the larger community or to funds that help people in our church. After church today is the day that we will vote. The congregation also votes on who receives our funds, and you get to participate in that today after coffee hour. Those of you who are at home have two ways to give. If you're on Zoom, you can give through the link that is posted in the chat, or just text assist to the number that is on the screen. And you here who are present in the sanctuary can also text to give, or if you wish to have check or cash to give, you can put it in the offering box on the wall at the back of the sanctuary after the service. Our offering today goes up to the Lift Up Your Voice to End Homelessness Family to Family Ministry, to provide a hot lunch and community gathering for 100 of our homeless neighbors on the first Monday of each month. Some 15 volunteers from this congregation and beyond create a truly welcoming environment where people who are living without homes can dine in peace. They visit with us and with one another. And after lunch, they can take an extra item along with them, or of donated clothes and toiletries, and perhaps an extra banana or energy bar for later. For some, it is the only meal they will have that day. And many walk and bicycle miles to get there. And some are also pushing a friend or relative in a wheelchair to be there for this meal. And they always express tremendous gratitude for the food and for the warm welcome that they receive because of your generosity. And so thank you for giving generously as you always do. We are grateful for the generosity of this congregation, which weaves a tapestry of love we call community across generations and across time. we take up the threads of those who came before and weave them onward.
We weave the threads in our tapestry ever stronger by sharing with one another the great joys and sorrows that grace our lives. As we do, we place stones in water for both the celebrations and sorrows in our hearts. They make ripples that can be seen, ripples that are felt throughout our community. You can submit a joy or sorrow for sharing via link on the website, uuventura.org, or a link in our Thursday email bulletin, UUCV This Week. Those received by 8 p.m. Saturday night will be shared that Sunday. I invite you now to speak into the gathered community or write into the Zoom chat the names of those you wish to celebrate or memorialize, or those in need of the loving embrace of this beloved community. Reverend Dana will now place one final stone into the water for all the joys and sorrows just shared and those yet unspoken in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. May we be truly grateful for all that is our life. Our reading this morning is All is Well by Henry Scott Holland. Death is nothing at all. I have only slipped away to the next room. I am I, and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we still are. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effect, without the trace of a shadow on it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same that it ever was. There is absolute, unbroken continuity. Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you, for an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well.
Good morning. My name is Amy Hiroko Toma Cherot. Hiloko is deliberate. I was born in Hilo, Hawaii, before statehood. My mother is a second generation immigrant. My dad was the first immigrant from Japan. I was raised in Hilo and Honolulu, Hawaii. And in Hawaii, there are a lot of practices that got kind of meshed together because of all the different nationalities and cultures that had immigrated to Hawaii. So many different traditions were practiced there. After my father's death, my household consisted of a grandfather and my grandfather and his extended family. So when I was younger, we had a shrine, very simple, like that, but even more simple. It had flowers, a picture of the deceased, a bowl of sand for incense, and that's where we would light our incense and say our prayers. Later, when my nuclear family moved out of my grandfather's household, we had our own shrine, very simple one again, for my father. So very modest. I mean, much more modest than this one is pictured. So in our community, our mixed cultural community, we had festivals, and they're called Obon festivals. And one of the features was dancing around a central tower like that. They were normally held at a Buddhist temple, and everyone looked forward to it because it was fun. We wore our cotton summer kimonos and danced around the central tower where the drummers would bang out the beat. And these were very simple dances, and you could learn them very quickly. And during this time, generally in the summer, our families would visit the graves of our dead relatives. And this was done, crowds went to grave sites to visit, wash the tombstone or whatever was there, place flowers, and do their prayers. Today, at home, I have a simple shrine for a very dear friend, and I think many of you know of him or knew him. Ed Elrod, he and his partner, Kent Wagle, ran the Ventura bookstore for many, many years. It was a cultural institution. So Ed was everyone's favorite friend, and his favorite holiday was Dia de los Muertos. Thank you.
Please remain seated as we sing Gather Here. Yes. We'll sing it through 3 times.
Because I want to see if these work. It's like,
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near.
Hi, I'm Grace Wynn. And for the longest time, the concept of death was something I feared the most. When I was 5, I discovered what death was, and I told my mom I was scared of her passing away. The idea that one day she wouldn't be here felt like it was some sort of big, scary monster that was going to take her away from me. To comfort me, my mom told me that in the same way that a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly, or the leaves change throughout the seasons, death is just another part of that cycle of transformation. I didn't quite understand her back then, I was 5, but I hoped that one day, eventually, I would. When my 2 cats, Sage and Cinnamon, passed away a couple years ago or so, our family held a service. We spread their ashes, looked at pictures, and told stories about them. Even though I had lost both of my cats within the same year, I still wondered what it would be like to lose an actual person close to me. And that day finally came when about 6 months ago, my grandpa passed away from a stroke. Before then, I had never been to a funeral, much less a Buddhist funeral. I'm biracial, my mom is Caucasian, and my dad is Vietnamese. And my grandparents and my dad grew up more close to the culture of Vietnam than I did. My grandpa was a helicopter pilot in the Vietnam War, and he risked his life to bring his family to America. He barely ever talked about it, and the language barrier also made it harder for us to empathize with him in a way. Yet despite my confusion and grief, I still found some comfort in our family being brought together to honor this person. This man who, though he was flawed, fought through war and hardship just to keep his family safe. At the funeral, there were aunts, uncles, and cousins that I had never met before. Some of them didn't even speak English, and I couldn't communicate with them in the best way. But this funeral was very different in a certain way. Despite not being able to talk to each other, we were all still united by our condolences, sorrows, and what felt like just a little bit of love. Before I went to his funeral, I originally thought that most funerals were full of tears, eulogies, and speeches, and I know that a lot of them are, but his funeral was a little bit different. For 30 straight minutes, we listened to nothing but the Buddhist monks singing at the foot of my grandpa's altar, which is up there. There were no words spoken about him otherwise, and there was pretty much just only singing, and my grandma joining in lighting incense and pouring very cool ceremonial drinks. And seeing his urn at the altar reminded me of what my mom told me back when I was 5 when I was a kid, about that cycle of transformation and how it ties into that cycle of life. Simply that my grandpa's body had just transformed once again. After the ceremony, I was tired, of course, but I found the concept of death seeming a little less foreign than it did before. Sure, it's something I don't think I'll ever fully understand, and I'm still exploring it more, but having that connection of family and friends coming together made it a lot easier. The child inside of me, after it, felt a little bit more at peace, having that bonded experience of honoring a loved one like my grandfather.
Good morning. I'm Victor Solis from the choir. A brief introduction of this next song, which tells of La Llorona, a weeping ghost of a woman who appears in the folklore of Mexico and Central America and even northern South America. She is said to be seen walking by the water where she died, according to legend. In this rendition, the speaker is a man suffering the loss and sorrow of longing for the weeping woman of whom he can now only dream. His pain is misunderstood by others who think that he is simply gloomy, yet he continues to sing of his sorrow to the lover he cannot have.
Todos me
Gathered here in mystery, in struggle, and in power. Spirit, spirits, draw near. I do not think that I have ever confessed from this pulpit how much I love cemeteries. I love them in all their manifestations. I don't exactly dance on the graves, though I wander with full heart and often such delight in being alive. I love them in all their manifestations, although here are some of my American favorites. Puritan graveyards, full of headstones with winged death skulls grinning out from the facade, and epitaphs warning the living of their coming fate. Literal quotations from those headstones. Halt, passengers, as you go by, remember man is born to die. Consider time is running fast, and death will surely come at last. Or, come, mortal man, and cast an eye. Come read thy doom, prepare to die. Woof. And yet I also love the garden cemeteries of the 19th century, laid out in careful park-like design. I also love pioneer cemeteries, where the short lifespans engraved on the gravestones tell the stories of a harsh frontier existence. I wonder at those who died young, the children who lived only a few days, the women who died in childbearing years, the men who didn't make it far into their 40s. And I wonder too at those who lived into their 80s and 90s. Did they survive by kindness or cussedness? I have been prowling, and yes, sometimes even dancing around cemeteries for years, little knowing that it was in any way connected to what would later draw me to Unitarian Universalism. for our Unitarian forebears, especially the Transcendentalists, were at the center of a cultural shift which turned those foreboding Puritan death skulls and on graveyards into the garden cemetery of the 19th century. The Reverend Edward Searle writes, radicals of their day, American transcendentalists viewed the walled graveyard as shadowed by the pessimistic theology of their Puritan ancestors. My translation of that pessimistic theology: life is short, then you die, and you might be damned for all eternity, so you'd better watch your step now while you can. Very cheery. The Transcendentalists, however, hearkened back to the classical Greeks who buried their dead outside the city in park-like settings. The Greek's word for this was koimeterion, meaning sleeping place, which morphed in English into cemetery. Sleeping place, not the place warning you you're going to be bones. Your bones will be in the ground and your soul may be in hell. Searle continued, Transcendentalists in the early 19th century took death into the sunshine, fresh air, and open vistas of nature. Mount Auburn Cemetery, which is pictured here in Cambridge, was among the first such garden cemeteries and immediately became a fashionable place to visit. Garden cemeteries were intended to serve as schools of life, though through carefully designed grounds, nature taught its varied lessons. Deciduous trees, including the evocative weeping willow, spoke of the transience of life. Evergreens testified that virtue cannot be destroyed even by the most searing winter. Ponds reflected the sky and mingled the real with the ideal, as did the horizon where heaven and earth met. End of the quotation. What Transcendentalists sought above all else was the liminal experience, times on the threshold, at the edge of perception, places where life's lessons are most poignant. The cemetery became a place where life and death meet. It could be a place to meditate on transience and permanence. And that sense of poignancy is what first attracted me to cemeteries, being there on the edge, at the threshold, the liminal space between life and death. Yet I also find that anyway in those scary Puritan graveyards as much as in the garden cemeteries, feeling fully alive and fully aware of death, present here. I think of things that linger, but more I think of things that disappear. Now, I have been to Mount Auburn Cemetery several times. This was the most recent, just a couple of years ago, and here I am beside the grave of Unitarian forebear and Transcendentalist Margaret Fuller. There she is. And if you look at just under her, the etched of her bust, there's stones and wood, because this is a bit of a pilgrimage site for us UUs. And if you're ever in Cambridge, oh man, there's so many people there. She's one of my favorite. Also, did you know that she is the aunt, great aunt of Buckminster Fuller, who was a Unitarian Universalist? Now, Mexican cemeteries, you can go back to the original images because we're going back to the Mexican cemeteries. They'll get it in magic in a moment. One more. Mexican ceremonies are not exactly gardens. And yet they have these tombs and above ground, and they're very dramatic and beautiful. And they are festooned each year on Dia de los Muertos, and families decorate with brightly colored papers and flowers, and they bring favorite food and drink of the dearly departed. And the graveyard becomes a different kind of liminal space, a place for feast and celebration, a place to invite beloveds back among the living for at least a brief time in a night of celebration. Mexican poet and Nobel laureate Octavio Paz wrote, "Undaunted by death, Mexicans have no fear of getting face to face with death. Rather, a Mexican chases after death, mocks it, courts it, hugs it, sleeps with it. It is his favorite plaything and his most lasting love." The Mexican Dia de los Muertos celebrations are a manifestation of an embrace of all of life, including death and what lies beyond. And so on this Dia de los Muertos, day for us, may we enter that kind of liminal space, at the edges of perception. We are, all of us, alive, and yet we know we will someday die. We are alive, and therefore it is ours to remember those who have died and invite them to be with us yet again. We celebrate those who have walked with us for a time, and we mourn their passing. In this community, we remember this year Frank Peterson, Vi Escobedo, Ginger Plum, Paul Carlson, Elsie Wall, and Susan Szymanski. It is well to remember them and whatever their lives taught us. It is well for us to invite their spirits, all the spirits of those we have lost, here among us. Today we gather to remember our dead, our dearly departed. We learn to invite them back among us easily, and as we work to let them go as easily and as lightly, not so that they will be forgotten, but that we may carry them with us ever and always more lightly. Amen. And may it be so. Today, we take time to honor those who have died in the past year And yet you may be holding the names of those who died many years ago and whose presence is still with you, who you brought here to be remembered. So let us enter this time, this ritual, with quiet tenderness. Let tears rise as they will. Let the smile of memory play at your lips. Acknowledge, too, any anger, pain, disappointment that arises. The fullness of all of life is welcome here. I ask you, in a moment, I will ask you to come forward and light a single candle, and then from this flame here, and then speak a single name into the microphone, though you may carry many in your hearts. Know that we gather, that as we gather, many spirits among us. We gather them as we celebrate and mourn. There is a power in the speaking of names. A power which may not heal all grief, yet a power that will carry tender memories along with us. As we speak, may we feel their presence among us. So if you'll come down the outer aisles, please, then light a candle. Try to start sort of at the back of the sand and move the candles forward. And then place it just in the sand and speak the name into this microphone. Let us remember.
John Bullard Irish.
Got it. It's going to catch as soon as the wax catches.
Christopher Dye and all my brothers who died from AIDS.
Teresita.
Scott Mathis.
Maxwell Paul.
Wynn.
April Sharon Torres.
Paul and our son, Doug.
Dwayne Wickholm.
Our niece, Raylene Little.
My son, Jay Rogers.
Iris and Bill Hollander.
Auntie Dot.
Mom and Dad.
Sherry Miller Hunter.
Our son, Jerry Owens.
Grant Mullman.
Annette Diane Zdanowicz.
Cameron Crawford. Dusty.
Egil Torgerson.
The childhood of my daughters.
Sandy Briggs.
Mark Napier.
Gary Coltrane.
Minga Mesa.
My cousin Michael Lutinsky.
The Palestinian people. Martha Odelheide.
My cousin Pam Newton.
My parents, Jan and Henry.
Steve Tower.
Tom Berg.
Bob Jones.
My good friend Nancy Carter.
Jack Christie.
Victoria Gale Connell.
Brian Collert.
The Palestinian people. My dog Venus died April 24th, 2023. She was 11 years old. I had her for 9.
Samantha.
Auntie Helen Yamamoto.
My mom and dad, Mary Louise and Frank, and my life companion, Stephen Gallegos, who passed away very young from AIDS.
Wallace Dan.
My sister Paula.
Susan Samansky and Ethel Brinkus, my mother, who died when I was born.
My father, Raul Santiesteban.
Steve Corningsberg and Freeman Hall, whom I love very much.
Carolyn Ryberg Kingshill, and all of my dear Schmidt heads.
Joe.
My sister, Latriana Nicole Pope.
Susan Jo Worsnop. Please join me in prayer. Holy beingness of many names and no name, Spirit of living and dying and remembering, Spirit of love which dwells within and among and beyond us this day and always, may our memories keeping our dear ones never too far away. May those memories arise, bidden and unbidden, through the living of our lives, in the sigh that was just like a mother's, or the laugh that was just like a brother's, in a favorite shared walk, or movie, or song. May the love that was shared and lived remain with us. May the love that holds all hold us while we hold on to these dear memories. For the flames of life and love are never fully extinguished. May we carry them ever in our hearts. And may all those who are ill find healing. May those who are in despair find hope. May those who are without home find shelter. And may all those in conflict and war throughout the world, may we know peace. Amen. And blessed be.
Please rise and bow to your spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, I've Got Peace Like a River.
I've got
So I invite everyone who in the sanctuary here today for hospitality, coffee, tea, and bagels and conversation in our social hall, Berg Hall. You can drop by the round table, which is under the sign Connecting Center, and visit with friendly folk who are waiting to say hello. You might also pick up your ballots on your way out to vote for who will be our collection recipients going forward. And if you have cash or checks, you can put them in the box in the back of the sanctuary. And I hope those on Zoom may stop and by and join in the Zoom chat room, and people will come by and talk to you. This community of hope, of memory, and of love is here for us all.
Please join me in reading the words on the screen as we prepare to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment, those we carry into our lives until we are together again.
I leave you with these words from the Reverend Leah Derland Jones. For those who came before us, we offer gratitude and thanks. May their memories be a blessing. May we feel surrounded by their love as we go forth from this time and place. Let us be inspired by their courage, their wisdom, and their dreams. Let us honor them by doing the work of living boldly and loving mightily and creating heaven on earth. Go forth in peace, go forth in love, go forth in tender memory. May it be so.